So we're going to move on. And so next item on the agenda is Craig McElroy for the Healthy Waters update. And just a reminder, this isn't about the blue-green network stuff, which is in its own little wrap-up. So this is just a normal business as usual update. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Lovely to be with you this afternoon. So we can move on to the next slide. So, look, I won't read through the detail of this slide. It's just talking about the things that we do in healthy waters and flood resilience. But what I would like to say to this slide is that we can only be successful if we're running successful collaboration. And I'm talking now about collaboration across the group. I'm talking about collaboration with iwi Māori. I'm talking about collaboration with the community and with private developers. So a huge amount of our business is coming to the party along with all the other stakeholders, because we can't do a lot of this stuff by ourselves to get successful outcomes. Just a couple of numbers. You've heard me say this before, but a lot of our business is we're not just about pipes and drains. More of our assets now are natural assets, and they are hard engineered assets. And our customer satisfaction is not where I'd like it to be. It's at 63%, which is better. It's on a steady improvement at the moment, but we've got a number of initiatives underway to improve our customer satisfaction. And I think primarily one of the key things is to have better systems and processes, so people don't a lot of people get kicked between healthy waters and water care in particular, because initially it's not clear whether it's a water issue, a wastewater issue, a stormwater issue. And so we're working really closely with water care now around system improvements, which I think is also going to end up in better customer satisfaction ratings as well. We've got a number of contracts with the community and with Māori organisations, $6 million. Although we have the Safe Swim model, and we also do a lot of water quality samples which are used primarily to validate our models, and so in order to ensure that our models are fit for purpose, you can't go out and monitor all of the time, but when we do monitoring, it's very much targeted around getting better model outcomes, so then we can use those models to make better business decisions. And just on the capital spend, although it's $85 million to date, we are on track to deliver our forecast for the year. So our capital budget for the year is $191.3 million, and we're very confident that we'll actually slightly exceed that by the tune of a couple of $1 million at 193.5. And one of the reasons that I can be very confident about achieving the budget is that these aren't only healthy waters projects. We are doing the separation works in Point Chev, when stage 2 was completed in November 25. That was delivered through Auckland Transport. And we wanted to get in there once, so there was a dig once situation. So we didn't want Auckland Transport doing work on the road and then Healthy Waters coming and later on to do work on the stormwater separation. So we tied it all together. Another key project for us is the Eastern Busway. We're taking advantage of the Eastern Busway to upgrade the stormwater treatment so that not only it relates to the busway, it relates to the wider catchment as well. And that's been delivered through the Eastern Busway Alliance project. And our other big partner is Watercare, with the cost-sharing arrangements which has come to council previously around both the Point Erin Tunnel and the Herne Bay Collector, because those projects provide both a wastewater and a stormwater benefit, and ultimately a water quality outcome benefit around the Safe Swim program. So we're delighted to be partnering with Watercare, and no doubt you'll hear more about that when Shane comes and presents very shortly. Just want to highlight the work that we're doing with iwi Māori, and in particular we've got a very a Māori employment initiatives program looking at water quality monitoring and network compliance, where the candidates that are working through this program actually come out of the other end with some formal qualifications. So, it's really great for their own career prospects, but also that learning is taken back into the individual iwi as well. So it's like a training the trainer session, and so that knowledge that they gain can be taken back into the iwi, and we have 6 kaimahi from 4 Tamaki Makaurau iwi involved in that program at the moment. And at a more general level, we've now got all of our significant projects, we're partnering with mana whenua around the design and our catchment studies, and so that partnership starts at the beginning, not when a business case is prepared and it's often too late to make significant changes to designs, etc. We're a great believer in actually having that engagement up front early in the life cycle of a project. And one project that has completed this year, which has been a really successful project, is our Hotio sediment reduction program, where we had a significant contribution from Ministry for the Environment to help us with that project. And so you can see a couple of photos on the left, which are the before and after, and obviously the after is obviously relying on it's early on in the piece with the rehabilitation, but obviously that planting will quickly, it's quite amazing how quickly the planting actually takes hold. And but that's an early photograph when the planting has just been completed. A big milestone project for us that got completed end of last year was our Ports of Auckland tunnel project, a $49 million project cost, and also we've had a number of renewal projects completed in the last 6 months, 21 in total, 4 emergency projects emanating from the 23 flood events, and 9 community water and wastewater treatment plant upgrades. And so we run a lot of the small plants that effectively council-owned plants that are required to support our community facilities. And so they're now run through Healthy Waters. And we've also got 10 renewal projects in progress at the moment. We've got a major project with a new culvert under Greville Road, which is very close to completion, and also some emergency works in Beach Haven Road that are underway at the moment. Just some more numbers in relation to the current financial year. 2,785 requests for service this year, which is quite a few less than normal. And I guess that's a function of the type of weather that we've been experiencing. But we are considerably up on our catchment cleans at 110,000 with the additional investment that's gone into catchment cleaning. And also a lot of extra investments gone into soak-hole cleaning as well. So at 2,900. Our target for our emergency RFS is 60 minutes for a response time. And we're running at 50 minutes on average in respect to that KPI. And we've done an awful lot of evaluation of pipe condition through CCTV. So we're up to 136 kilometres this year. And that enables us to classify our assets as either Category 3 or Category 4 or 5. And when they get to 4/5, that is when we get in and do the just-in-time renewals of those pipes. A number of water quality programs that we're involved in at the moment. We've got separation projects that just started construction in January and February this year for Oakley Bollard and Blockhouse Bay. A very significant separation project that is actually starting this month in Lower Kaiba Pass and Kingdon Street, which is the start of our Eastern Isthmus Water Quality Improvement Program. That's going to be a great help for Watercare when they work into their detailed design for the Newmarket Gully tunnel project. Also the water quality treatment device retrofit going into the concourse in Henderson, which is due to be completed in April this year. And also on the left there are photos before and after of the Blackgate Reserve naturalisation project that was completed in November. And that was funded by offset obligations where developers are required to provide a financial offset to respond to consent requirements, and we're able to utilise that funding to deliver effectively community projects. Also, some significant work. Andy mentioned, or the chair mentioned at the beginning, that I wouldn't be talking today about the Blue-Green Network program at all, but in actual fact, the work that we're doing on the Parata Road culvert upgrade, although this planning for this work started before the January 23 flood, it actually does form part of the Whangapuri catchment wider project, in which we're doing a major upgrade on Parata Road at the moment. And there's a photograph of that work that's underway at the moment. We've also had 2 projects in Hauraki and Omaha to resolve habitable flaw and nuisance and road flooding, partially funded through growth, because there's a growth component to those projects as well. And we've got 3 more under construction in Papatuitui, Forest Hill and Half Moon Bay. So just referring back to the previous Ports of Auckland project that I talked about, now that we've put in the new siphon tunnel, we were able to get in and access the existing asset that we were actually duplicating in the Ports of Auckland site. But we couldn't get in and do that work because the culvert was actually part of the main network, and it was also subject to tidal inundation as the tide comes in and out. So now we're able to actually isolate that asset, do a thorough inspection of it, and the risk is pretty much what we thought, in that it's getting very close to the end of its life. And so we're doing an assessment at the moment and figuring out the most cost-effective way to effectively reline that culvert, and then bring that back into service, because it provides for a secondary flow path for the stormwater going through the Ports of Auckland site. Now, this site's incredibly important because it provides flood protection to Britomart, so it's a key project for us. Also, we're doing a number of additional upgrades of our water treatment plants and wastewater disposal at Wharapu, Atuia Creek, Scandred and Whakanewha regional parks planned for this year. Just on stuff that's going on in a policy sense that has a big impact on healthy waters is the new local government water services bill, which is going through the select committee at the moment, and there's been some very significant changes in the legislation around a much better definition of stormwater, which looks at the wider aspects of stormwater, not just being pipes, but being the natural environment and natural streams, being overland flow paths, which is something that we've been pushing for some time. There's the changes to the Resource Management Act that have been proposed as well, and also there's talk over time of national policy statements being introduced into areas like stormwater where those national policy statements don't currently exist. Just around the consenting environment, consenting is a massive expense for healthy waters and flood resilience, and we're looking at ways to make that a more cost-effective process. We've already been successful in getting a fish passage remediation project across the region, and so having got a regional consent, it means we don't have to then apply for individual consents. We just have to produce a management plan for each project that's in compliance with the regional fish passage consent to enable us to do the work. So it's a far more cost-effective way to do it. So we want to do the same thing for stream and estuary maintenance and renewals and flood resilience projects. So we get a regional consent, get it done once, and then it can be applied to all of the specific opportunities that crop up in the future. And I think that will have a very considerable cost saving for us, which means that that money can then go into doing additional work. We also think that the management plans that we prepare could be potentially self-authorised by ourselves on the basis that we need to be held accountable for the outcomes that we're looking to deliver. But I believe that if things are structured appropriately, there is absolutely no reason why, with full transparency, working with communities, where all these plans are open book, so everyone knows what's in the plans. So why our feeling is we should be able to self-authorise those plans as long as we're held accountable for delivering the right outcomes. Once again, there'll be a cost saving in that initiative. And if you look at the order on council process that we used for Mangere, that really was all the work that was prepared for that order in council was generated through the Healthy Waters team. And I think that demonstrates that we can actually gain the confidence of both the central government and the community that this is a reasonable approach to apply as long as we're held accountable for delivering on what we say we're going to do. And I think I'll leave it at that, and just very happy to answer any questions. Kia ora.
Thank you, Craig. So first question, Desley.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Craig. Very, very good report. Impressive. Look, you may not know right now, and I'm happy for you to come back to me, but I'm very interested in regional consenting because you say it has significant cost savings, and I think that is to be commended. Do you have any idea about the level of savings that you would get if you put these regional consents in? Because one of the problems in many projects are our own, a problem of our own making, in so much that we call for the consents and they're expensive to do, right? So, as I said, very impressed at the regional look at that, and just, do you have any idea what that could save in your department from a financial perspective?
The savings are very considerable. If I could come back with the specifics, because I don't want to quote a number because it may be a little bit out. But not only is it going to save us money, it's also going to save us time. And we're under enormous pressure. And I know this isn't about the blue-green networks today, but as a specific example, we're under real pressure with the Crown partnership to get on and deliver quick outcomes to satisfy the Crown around their level of contribution. So getting that consenting sorted out early on in the piece is going to be very helpful in that Crown relationship as well.
Just get someone to move too. Someone want to move? Thank you, Chris. And second, Desley. Okay, any further questions on this for Craig? Oh, Julie, sorry.
Thank you. So I've got two questions. One is about the separation work. And I understand that in some areas we're now only doing partial separation, which is not what the community was necessarily expecting. So is that going to be the way going forward, that we're going to be focusing on council land and laterals as opposed to doing wholesale areas?
So we're doing when we do the separation, we'll put in the asset in the road to take the road and any properties that are already separated to the boundary. If there are properties that are yet to be separated to the boundary, they have two options. They can the option is that you either pay and put in the private works yourself if you want to do it straight away, or you wait until the property is redeveloped, and then you could not redevelop on that property without doing the separation to the boundary.
Okay. Is that a change in approach?
It's where we started. It's where we started, and then we went to we have done in some special circumstances work in private property as well, but it's incredibly expensive to do that work in private property. And the way we're looking at it now is that we're targeting areas where we're going to get the maximum benefit. And in many cases, there are a lot of properties that are already separated to the boundary already.
Okay, so are we going back to those communities where we might have raised an expectation of full separation?
Yes, we've had a number of specific local board workshops in the areas of interest where we've gone through the specific details. with those local boards, and we will also be consulting with the affected communities as well.
Great. I'd be interested in more information on the
Yeah, no,
conversation
happy
with the
to-
communities.
Happy to share more detail with you,
Offline,
Julie.
yeah. Thank you. The other question I had was, as we look at the Category 3 land as solutions for some of the areas that previously had blue-green networks planned for them, so I'm thinking about, I'm not allowed to use can I use an example? It's not in my ward. Anyway, what are we thinking that they will actually look like on the ground if we're not doing like a full blue-green network treatment? What is the thinking at the moment about those parcels of, say we've got a street where we might have 6 contiguous properties.
Yeah.
In the short term, I imagine we're leaving that as just permeable surface as much as possible. But what's sort of the next phase for those kinds of sites?
So we would call those minor blue-green opportunities, and so we think there are a number of minor blue-green opportunities that the Cat 3 buyout facilitates a good outcome where you have a group of Cat 3 properties adjoining each other, or it could be adjoining existing council land, for example.
Yeah.
And so we'll be looking to effectively package those up into work packages, which I think at this stage are most likely to be reflected through the 2027 LTP.
Okay.
Because we're really, really constrained by what we can do up until then with the change of emphasis away from the blue-greens into the buyouts. Yep. That's already cut our monies very much, but we believe longer term we have to look at those opportunities.
So
that'll be the home for them, will be the 2027 LTP.
So it's likely that until at least 27, 28, they're going to stay as they are, unless I guess a local board has a project.
Well, I think the houses will probably almost be certainly
Yep.
Removed where it makes sense to remove those houses, but in terms of, I guess, defining exactly what that's going to look like, there may be some specific circumstances that lead us down a different path, but in general I think some of that work will be constrained by our budgetary constraints.
And final question, Chair, are we looking at the what used to be called, if I remember correctly, HWBOB, the Healthy Waters Biodiversity Offset Bank? Are we looking at that as a funding option?
Absolutely. So that diversity bank, by the way, applies to our own projects as well as to private developers. And so
Yep.
the idea with that funding would be where there's a sensible regional scheme that would benefit from the funding of the individual developers, rather than each developer doing a little bit of small-scale offsetting, if we combine all that money together.
Yep.
And my view is, provided it's within the same local board area, that seems to me that's quite a fair sort of way of looking at it. And so we're trying to identify those opportunities where we have existing projects that effectively could be funded through that bank mechanism.
Would it be possible to look at stream catchments? Because in some cases there might be...
No, that's a good point. Perhaps rather than local board catchment, I should have probably referred to catchment boundaries as opposed to local board boundaries.
Yeah. Thanks, Craig.
Kia ora.
Honey.
Thank you for that report. Just quickly, it was great hearing the engagement taken with Māori initiatives around. What would be one of the key aspects of working with Māori that you could advise or give to put across the rest of the Māori council groups engaging of Māori?
Oh, they've just made such a valuable contribution in terms of just looking at these projects from a more holistic and total perspective. And to be honest, when you look at the things that iwi Māori value in a project, they're actually, it's like looking at through a different lens, if you like. But it's been huge. It's helped us with the decisions around the planting, for example, the types of planting that we want to apply. And so it's been incredibly valuable. Also, just understanding the whole background and the history of the areas. It's just been a really great initiative from, I think, both sides of the fence.
It's just a follow-on question, and it's going back to the regional consenting. In terms of how would you then go about engaging Māori directly around that?
On the regional consent project, we would want iwi Māori as part of the initial team that does this, works with us right from the beginning. Okay. We will not go near a regional consent without the full backing and support of iwi Māori, because obviously that's a key component of any successful consenting mechanism. And so that has to happen right at the beginning,
Okay.
before we make any decisions. I think the secret is the early engagement, not waiting until you're way down the path and suddenly deciding you need to consult. That doesn't work. We've got to do it right from the beginning.
That's good. Thank you.
Kia ora.
Chris?
Mine was supplementary to the Deputy Mayor's, and that's on regional consents. What were the roadblocks for doing those in the past? Why didn't we do them, given the logic of it?
Good question. Certainly since 2023, we've been incredibly distracted with the events of early in 2023. I think it's like a lot of things in life, with the benefit of hindsight. Maybe we should have thought of this earlier, but we didn't. And I guess we're finding now, particularly through the blue-green initiatives, that there's so much we're going to be doing that's going to be quite repetitive in nature. Good.
Thanks for that.
Okay, no further questions, so thank you, Craig, as always. Okay, so any discussion, debate on this? None. It's been moved and seconded. Those in favour say aye, and against carried. Next up, bring up Shane Cunis, Chief Program Delivery Officer, and David White, Program Director for the Central Interceptor Project.